Tiago's siren. Tiago had been awake for a long time. He was an early riser like his grandfather. And just like his grandfather, he became a fisherman. Tiago loved his job and he loved the ocean too. Every day before sunrise he prepared his ship and his nets, hoping that the sooner he could set sail, the better the catch. But that wasn't the only reason he was out so early. He wanted to hear it. For a few days now, when the wind was favorable, he had heard it, the voice singing a song. It was a sad song, but also so beautiful that he couldn't help but listen and hope that he would hear it again. The first time he had thought it was in the village, but when he listened more closely he realized that it was coming over the water, but there was nothing there. In that direction there was only the vast ocean and a few rocks sticking out of the water. He knew a few stories from his grandpa, but he didn't believe them. They were just fairy tales. But he didn't hear it long enough to determine the direction, so it was his secret. At sunrise he set sail. He looked for the best places to place his nets. But then he heard her again. She was so close. He no longer doubted. He heard the singing, and he was sure it had to be a woman. He turned his ship and headed towards the voice, but at the same time he remembered his grandpa's words. When you hear the ocean singing, turn your ship and go home, otherwise you will never come back. No, Grandpa, I have to see her. I have to know who she is and why the song is so sad. I know this area and I know there are a lot of rocks in the way, but today the water is calm and my ship is small and maneuverable. I know I can do this without getting hurt. It wasn't long before Tiago approached the rock formation and had seen it from afar. That's not true, Grandpa, you're right, it really does exist. He saw the woman turn to him and look him in the eyes for a moment, then she slipped from the rock into the water and disappeared. Tiago waited there for a long time, hoping that he would see her again, but she never reappeared. He turned his boat around and sailed home without catching anything. Today he won't be able to continue. All he could think about was her. She was so beautiful. He had never seen a woman like her. Of course he had seen her big fin. Tiago had no doubts. She was a siren. When he got home he thought about what he should do. Forget her? Or should he look for her to find out more? He couldn't tell anyone. Even his grandfather had been laughed at in the village because he believed in sirens and mermaids. He decided to sleep on it for a night, and when he heard it again he would calmly think about what to do. But the next day he heard nothing. The ocean was rough and it was very windy. These are not good conditions for fishermen, so he repaired his damaged nets and forgot about the siren. It was only 3 days later that the weather improved and Tiago was able to set sail again with his boat. This time he took a direct route to the rocks, just not from the front. He approached from the other side. If she was there, he wanted to surprise her, and it was also easier to get to the rocks from the back because the waves were much milder there. He was just halfway to the rocks when he heard her again, and the song was even sadder than the one 3 days ago. Why is she so sad, he thought, and carefully steered his boat onto the big rock. He tied his boat and carefully got out of the boat. The stones were slippery from sea salt and algae growing on them. It doesn't take long for Tiago to climb up the stone before he saw her. She was sitting with her back to him and singing her sad song. Please don't be scared, but don't run away, I've been looking for you. She was scared, but she turned to Tiago and looked at him. Why were you looking for me? Because your song is so sad. Can I come to you? She thought for a moment, then nodded and pointed to the stone next to her. Tiago sat down next to her, and both were silent for a moment. Tiago broke the silence by asking her again, why are you so sad? Your song touched my heart so much that I could only think of you. No one should be so sad. I'm sad because I'm lonely. Are you all alone? Yes and no. There are other sirens in the area, but they've all found their mate. Only I'm still alone, and that's what makes a siren so sad. We find it hard to tolerate loneliness. To be happy, we need a partner. Ah, that's how it is, and you haven't found one yet. But how do you look for a mate in the middle of the ocean? It's difficult to explain, but I'll tell you. We dive from the depths of the water and sing songs until the right man hears us and comes to us. And if he's the right man, we dive back down and are happy together. And if no one comes, then we die of sadness. If I understand correctly, I'm the right man for you because I heard you and followed your song? Yes, that's how it has to be. Are you going to force me to go with you? No, you have to go with me willingly. How are you going to be happy if I force you? You know that I can't decide so easily now. And how am I supposed to follow you? You can breathe underwater, I'll drown. No, you don't have to follow me right now, but you have to promise me that you won't tell anyone about us. And that you'll come back to me. What else happens, you already know. Do you have a name too? Tiago remembered that he hadn't asked her yet. Auriga, and you? Tiago, my name is Tiago. Auriga and Tiago talked all day, and both realized that they really liked each other. Auriga still helps Tiago with the fishing so that he doesn't come home with empty nets again, and Tiago promises to come back tomorrow. Tiago also visits Auriga in the days that follow. They spend many hours together, and soon Tiago realized that he really liked Auriga, that he even loved her. And Auriga loved Tiago, but she did that from the beginning. Tiago knew that the day of decision was getting closer and closer. He would have to decide, and whatever he decides will be forever. Either he follows Auriga and has to leave this world, or he will leave Auriga and she will die. No, he can't do that. He will never let her die for him, he would rather die for her. Auriga? I know, Tiago, you have made your decision. And I can see it in your eyes. That is why I brought this potion. When you drink it, you will transform and be like me. But remember, there is no turning back. Tiago held out his hand. I don't have to think anymore. I know what I want. I will follow you wherever you go. Then he took the vials and drank them empty. It wasn't long before Tiago had a large fin and gills on his neck to breathe. Then he followed Auriga into the water and disappeared into the depths of the ocean forever.